1:35 p.m. and I will take a few minutes to read the mandatory statement. Good afternoon. It is 1:35 p.m., August 10th, 2020. The COA board meeting. This meeting is being held virtually through Zoom. The town of Littleton began conducting remote participation / Zoom meetings pursuant to Governor Baker's emergency order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law on March 19th, 2020. Since that time, unanticipated legal concerns relating to the open meeting law have been brought to our attention by the town clerk. Those concerns were supported by the Attorney General's office and confirmed by town council. One concern is that the chat function allows a parallel text conversation to a board's public meeting. Chat is essentially running commentary that is occurring, but it is not moderated or followed by the chair. All participants and listeners may not be aware of comments being made because some meeting participants join by phone and do not see these conversations. Another concern is conversations between residents within the chat room, which are not incorporated into the public record. In response to these concerns, the town will implement the following changes, which in no way prohibit any member of the public from participating in a discussion and sharing information during a public meeting, and will ensure that all listeners and participants have equal access to this meeting. People that join the Zoom meeting are set so their microphones are muted. If you called in by phone, please use *6 to mute or unmute your phone. So that the meeting can occur in an orderly fashion, we ask that people who join keep their microphones on mute so background noises do not interfere with the meeting. If you wish to participate in the meeting, please use the raise your hand function available on Zoom, or if you called in by phone, dial *9, which will activate the raise hand function. The meeting host will notify the chairperson of the raised hands, and the chairperson will determine whether and when to allow public comment. When called upon, participants should unmute, then state their name and address. After speaking, we request the participant return their microphone back to mute. This is a live and recorded meeting, I believe. Okay, now that we've gotten that formality out of the way, we can proceed with the meeting. So, welcome, Ashley and Mark. And for the public, Ashley is our new director who is on her first day of the job, and so is really here just to kind of take in everything and observe and hopefully learn a little bit about who we are and each person. And Mark is a new board member, but not new to being involved in town boards. So we welcome both of you. We're very glad that you're here. All right. So we have a quorum, I do believe. And hopefully we are missing a couple of people. Oh, I think Maureen is trying to get in. We've had some technical problems with people accessing, so bear with us, anyone viewing. Okie doke. Announcements. Board members, do you have any announcements to make? Nope.
Oh, just to welcome Ashley.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Thank you very much. Anyone else? I have just a couple of announcements. One is I publicly wanted to express the board's appreciation to Jamie Cruz of Springdale Farm, who does a senior bag program for fresh produce. Ashley, just so you're aware of what it is. She runs Springdale Farm here in town, and she runs a great program for seniors where she offers a weekly box or bag of fresh produce at her discretion, what she puts in it. And the cost is $15 a bag a week. And she guarantees that individuals are getting at least $20 worth of produce. And we've had some difficulties in getting the program running smoothly this year. So it's been a little frustrating, and we apologize for that, but we want everyone to know that the program is out there. It is running, and Jamie is just a wonderful supporter of seniors in this town. People need to recognize that. So, anybody else have any comments about that they would like to add? No. Okay. With that in mind, welcome, Maureen. I see you made it. Did you have trouble also? You need to unmute. You're muted.
Yes, ma'am, I did have trouble.
Yeah, we're learning that people have had trouble getting in, so
Yep.
I'm glad you're here. Any other announcements? Did you catch that where we're at, Maureen?
Yes.
Okay. Right now, off the top of my head, I don't remember any others that I might have had. So if anybody has one as we go along, please speak up and let me know. And I do not believe we have any public input at this moment. So we're going to move right along, if it's okay with everyone, to accepting our minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes to accept. We met in June, and that was a regular meeting. And on June 24th, we held a special meeting to interview the final candidates. Ashley was one of them, to our they were candidates for the position of director. So we have the minutes from both of those meetings, and I sent them out to everybody. I hope you took a look at them. So we need to approve those minutes.
I read both meetings from June 24th and June 8th. And I would propose, after reading them, that make a motion that we accept the meetings as published.
Accept the minutes as published?
Yes.
Okay.
A second.
Who seconded, please?
I did.
Maureen seconded. Thank you, Maureen. I know sometimes it's hard for for Sue, who's taking the minutes of this meeting, to catch who's seconding things, so I like to repeat it for her. Thank you. All right, we have a motion before us to accept the minutes of the June 8th and June 24th meetings as prepared.
June 8th and 24.
The 8th and the 24th, right. Do I hear a second for that motion? We did second it. I'm sorry. I'm losing track here. All those in favor of accepting the minutes, I will take a roll call vote. Anita?
Yes.
Anita says yes. Susan?
Susan, yes.
David? David?
I've been cut off for a second. I don't know what happened, but if you're looking for a second, I'll second.
No,
If
we're
you're
looking for a vote.
Aye.
Thank you. David says aye. Patty? Patty?
Mary, yes.
Oh, Mary. Okay. Mark
Yes.
and Maureen.
Yes.
And Marge is a yes too. Thank you both, all of you. Thank you. We are caught up to date in our minutes. All right. Is there anyone with the friends with us now? No. I do not see anyone.
We have Dottie and Nancy as
Oh,
attendees.
All right. I do not
Nancy
know.
wants
This is the point on the agenda where we have a friends report.
Let me just promote Nancy here.
Thank you.
She should be able to speak.
She's muted.
Nancy, you're on mute, but if you want to unmute.
There.
Mayor. Thank you, Nancy. Are you there?
I'm there.
Oh, good. Welcome. And I understand Dottie is with us too. So, but we
Yeah.
are the point on our agenda when we're looking for a friends report.
I will report
Thank
that
you.
there is nothing to report
Oh, okay.
since
Not
the
a-
COVID-19, since the virus has happened. The Friends have not yet been able to do anything except to assist the outreach programs when needed.
Well, that sounds about right, I guess. It's been pretty hard. Yep. So,
And most of all, we would like to welcome Ashley, and we can't wait to meet her in person. In fact, we would like to take her out to lunch.
whoa, boy, you've got an online invitation to lunch, Ashley. You'll have to take them up on that someday. If you can find a place big enough for everybody.
Just for my board and Ashley, no one else.
Wow. But that's still quite a few people.
Yes, it is.
Yes. But that's a great offer.
It is a great offer. So welcome, Ashley. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Is that it, Nancy?
That's it, unless Dottie has something to say.
I don't think. Oh, okay. She's being elevated to be able to. And she's
No
muted.
comment.
No comment. All right. I guess that's about it for the friends. So, and
Okay.
hopefully we'll be able to start doing some small things soon. That would be nice. Thank you both very much. All right, now as you can see from the agenda, we had no new business, no business to carry forward for old business. So we're going to move right ahead into our new business. And the first order of business is that we have historically had a member of the Council on Aging Board represent the board at the TAC, the Transportation Advisory Council. And Mary Pickard, who stepped down this year, filled that position. So I'm looking for somebody on the board who might be willing to do that. And let me read to you, TAC is not a well-known, it's called the Transportation Advisory Council. It is not a well-known group. And so I will read to you what it says on the town website about the TAC. It says, the Board of Selectmen has established a Transportation Advisory Council to promote collaboration in the development of collective transportation goals and priorities for the town of Littleton. To be comprised of one member and one alternate, each from the Board of Selectmen, Planning Board, Finance Committee, Council on Aging, Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and Disabilities Commission, and 3 members from the community at large appointed by the Board of Selectmen and Planning Board. Draft work, as proposed by the Master Plan Implementation Committee and the Littleton Transportation Advisory Council, shall meet at least quarterly to discuss issues and concerns related to transportation matters and initiatives in the town and neighboring communities. The TAC would establish collective goals and priorities for improving all means of transportation in the town, consistent with the vision of the 2000, it says 17, Littleton Master Plan. The TAC would invite input from other boards and committees and the general public to ensure that the council is truly representative of the interests of the people in Littleton. So, they meet quarterly, and it says at the very bottom, additional meetings may be called to respond to issues as they arise. So as you can tell, it's not a heavy duty obligation. It's at least a quarterly meeting. Sometimes, might be a little bit more frequently. But I think it's important that we have a COA board member representing us on this council. And I'm asking if anybody would be willing to fill that slot. I know it says also an alternative backup person. And I do believe at times the director has been involved in that. We lost her. Oh, there she is. I just lost Ashley's picture. But, down the road, we can determine that. If there is a need to have a backup person, we can revisit the subject. So today I'm just asking for one person to step forward and take this on. Whoops. Sorry about that. Oh, Annalee can't find the Zoom code to get in. So if anybody has, can send her the code. She's struggling with the same problem. And I don't know whether Amber can do it, or I don't know who can. I can't. Nicole, can you do that? Do you have Annalee Ellis?
Let me just check. I think I have her email address. Hold on.
Her email address is, David has it.
Oh, you know what?
I
It's
do.
right here. Let me see if I can forward it.
The easy way to get in is go to the town website and click on the meeting. Then
Oh,
you don't
that's
need the
right.
codes.
I didn't have a problem with it either, Mark, but.
Okay, I just sent it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Do I have any takers, or we're going to have to postpone this, and I'm going to twist arms next month?
I'll take it on, Mark.
Oh, thank you, Susan. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I don't think it's a lot of heavy-duty time, but, you can always step down if it becomes too much. So, but I appreciate you. It's important, I think, that we have some representation. So, Susan. All right. Pardon me. Moving on. The next agenda item is space need. And I'm going to take a few minutes to bring the board up to speed. A lot has happened in the last week and a half from my perspective. I'm not speaking for everybody, but that's when I became aware of the fact that Elder and Human Services has a problem. So basically, for the benefit of people that might be watching, the town started talking about planning for the reopening of Town Hall, weeks ago. And they set a tentative date, and that date for reopening Town Hall is next Monday. In the course of getting ready to open Town Hall, the building inspector and the fire chief went through the entire building. The building inspector's job, if I've got this straight, it was to figure out and to measure the rooms to determine the maximum capacity of people in each room, considering COVID-19 and the social distancing requirements. The fire chief was looking at, the more other aspects of keeping people safe, and, for example, installing plexiglass barriers and whatever else is necessary in Town Hall to keep people safe when they were in rooms, no matter what the capacity was. I think the board knows, and most people in town know, that Elder and Human Services and the COA have been existing with a paucity of space, to say the least. And this change now with different requirements as to the maximum number of people that can be in a room has just absolutely impacted Elder and Human Services and the COA. So we have even a more severe need for space than we had previously to COVID. Given the fact that we need to try to get some seniors in for different things. There are, quite frankly, things that will be having to start up to be able to meet their needs, and we'll address that a little bit further along. So let me update you as to the rooms that EHS has and where we stand. So If you get off the elevator and you go to your left, that is room 230. That right around the corner. That room has a capacity of 4 people. That's it. If you get off the elevator and you go to your right, the first room that is there is Nicole, the assistant director's office. And that has a capacity of 2 people, but that means that if there are 2 people, Nicole, who is the assistant director, has to leave her desk and actually move closer to the window to talk to the person who is standing maybe or sitting right by the door to have the safe distance. So it's not really a functional space for 2 people. It can be for just having a brief conversation, but whatever. And then you proceed down around the corner to the office where the director and the administrative assistant are. And that office has been limited to 2 people, those 2 people only. So no one else can go in that office. If I wanted to have a meeting with Ashley, I could not go in that space, or any of us could. And then we go back out and around and we have room 233. And that room also is limited to 4 people. And already, I'm trying to set up a meeting with Ashley and the staff. That is Amy, Nicole, Sue, and Ashley for next week with myself and Patty Hunt to be able to set the ground rules and things for Ashley's benefit to function as a team. Already, we have a problem. That's 5 of us. And there's no space in EHS big enough to accommodate us. So in order for 5 people to meet, we have to leave that whole end of the building unmanned. And that's not going to work. So anyway, then we have an outreach worker, Amy, who has been existing in a cubbyhole closet called her office. And I don't know the room number. It is, for those of you who might not know where it is, I think most of you know where Nancy Glencross, our IT specialist, her office is. It's the little cubbyhole across from Nancy's office. That room can hold 1 person only. So, Amy can't do her job. It's impossible for an outreach worker to do their job and not be at their computer, at their desk, and while they're interviewing clients. And most often, clients come in with another person, especially seniors. They might be a married couple, and you have 3 people in the room. So we have a problem, Houston. And we need to come up with a solution today and make a recommendation to the select board for their meeting tonight about how we might figure out a way to solve this problem. Okay. Having said all of that, do you have a sense of the situation? Anybody have any questions? No? All right.
I have a comment.
You have a comment. That's good.
Yeah,
You can
me
have a
too.
comment. Okay, go ahead. Patty, Mary first.
I think the comment is we have a dire situation because not only is Amy in the closet, and if a senior comes in with a spouse or a caretaker, she can't meet. But we also have families that she deals with, and a mother could come in with a couple of children. So this is a dire situation from my perspective. I just want to comment that it's seniors as well as family.
Yep. Thank you. David.
Yeah, I agree totally on that. It's a dire situation, but even more important than that is we can't come to any kind of decision fast enough for you to give this to the selectmen tonight. That's impossible. We just can't do it.
Well, I have a suggestion. I haven't finished talking, but anyway, that's a good point. You're right. As far as what I've said to you so far, right, we can't do anything the way things are.
Yeah, and so to finish, I guess I would say you're looking to find a place where the 5 of you can have a meeting, and there isn't even that. So I would say, can you meet in the all-purpose room just to get that meeting done?
Well, that might be a possibility. We haven't even discussed that, but I've just used that as an example. I mean, there's another option too. You know, it would be desirable to have the chair and the vice chair present meeting with the team, in my opinion. But
Yep.
if we couldn't do that and have both present, at least one of us would be present to have that meeting. So that's not strictly out of the picture either, but it just was used as a way to demonstrate how complex this whole situation is now. You know, that it's really presenting us with a problem. But I took it upon myself. Yes, go ahead, Anita.
Could I make a comment
Sure.
that I understand what David is saying, that we can't fix that right away, but we need to, as a board, understand that we're helping everybody in the town of Littleton, not just seniors. And right now, the TREAD program is up, the emergency rental program is up, the regular rental program is up, and if we're opening up the town hall, there may be people coming in to go to Ashley or Nicole for applications, and they need an office space to do that.
Correct.
They need to have a space now.
Correct. Hi, Ann Lee.
Let's hear what Marge has to say.
Okay.
Marge.
I'm moving on. So this was brought to my attention about a week and a half ago. I learned, of it. And I started looking around and thinking, and, we do have another room that is in the midst of EHS. And so I called, I have had feedback from the building inspector and the fire department about that room. I did not know, the amount of people that could be in that room. And so feedback was given to me. And the room is 134. 234. I mean, we have 230, 231 through 232, 233, and then room 234 is also right off from the elevator. Unfortunately, it is the room that houses the Friends thrift shop.
Oh,
Yes, but that thrift shop, that was my concern. It is my concern. It's not was, it still is. The fire chief gave me permission to share with you his comments and how he feels about that space. He has looked at that space, and he says that in order for that room, the thrift shop to open, donations would need to be quarantined for 3 to 5 days. The space and items would need to be sterilized, decontaminated, whatever you want to call it, routinely. The shop would have to have lanes, as in the grocery stores, to navigate it. And the building inspector said there's a maximum of 3 people that could be in that space at one given time. One would be the person, a senior, who mandates or runs, it's a volunteer, but it is usually a senior that's in there at the, cash register, taking care of sales or helping people. We all know clothing could not be tried on, and that would be another thing that had to be monitored, etc. The fire chief concluded, the fire chief concluded that the thrift shop cannot safely open because senior citizens are a vulnerable population and there is no way to ensure clothing, etc. is properly disinfected. He feels it does not make sense to invite the public into this space unless they are in need of services provided by EHS and COA. So that is the feedback I received about that room. 3 people, and it is not likely that it would be opened up to the public soon. Therefore, we have a situation where, we don't know when this is going to end, whether it will be December, next March. I doubt that it'll be earlier than December, but I don't know that either. None of us do. And it almost would seem like the town would be very remiss to allow a room there where 3 people could be accommodated and our outreach worker could do her job, actually, be able to meet clients and sit with them and to be able to talk with them. I mean, she is a town employee and we have a responsibility to provide an office for her to do her job. So that's where things stand. And the question is, you know, do we recommend, what do we recommend to the select board? I personally feel that it would be inappropriate for us not to consider using that space while we're in the midst of this mess to try to be able to do things. Room 230 and 233, hopefully we're going to be able to reopen, and once Ashley's got her feet on the ground, the blood pressure clinic could be probably re-established by appointment, etc. There's some other things, and I think, Nicole, you had come up with a list, had you not?
Yeah, well, we do have some small groups that meet in either of those rooms. The blood pressure clinic, podiatry clinic, Loving Stitches is more than 4, but we have some small groups, Bridge Club, things like that, that, you know, once we're given the okay to do that, it would be nice to fill those rooms with some sort of programming.
I know I've thought
Shine
about
counselor, you know, we've been doing Shine telephone. So it would be nice if our Shine counselor could meet with people in one of those rooms.
and I do believe one of those rooms would have to accommodate a staff meeting. If Ashley chose to have a staff meeting, you have to have one of those rooms available.
Right. Yeah.
So those rooms could easily be pretty busy, I think.
Hopefully. Yeah. That's the goal, I think.
That is, you know, so, and I mean, I've already thought about the fact that you could probably set up a Yahtzee tournament, for example, because you could have people have their own set of dice, etc., and make sure that things weren't contaminated. But there are table games that might be able to be, you know, reestablished too, and within a different format.
Right.
So, and we would not want to not be able to do that.
Right. And the way that Amy's schedule is with outreach, right now I'm not doing much outreach, but, you know, normally once Ashley gets up to speed, I will be doing outreach. So then you'll have potentially 2 people doing outreach who need the rooms. We have a lot of walk-ins. I know right now Town Hall is only having people come in with appointments. But once that changes, or if that changes, you know, we have people coming in, so we can't always schedule it. And like Anita mentioned, we have people of all ages we have to work around their work schedule. So, you know, one less thing to schedule around would be easy, make it easier.
And do we have other comments from the board members?
I do.
Yes, Maureen.
So Marge, if the thrift shop were emptied, does that mean that it would still only be able to accommodate 3 people?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, no, the number of people is separate from what goes on in the room.
Okay.
But the issue is the complexity of trying to get that room, the thrift shop up and open again.
Right.
According to the fire chief, it's just really too complex. You know, you've got dishes, you've got clothing. It's very difficult to make sure that it would be a safe environment for anybody to go into right now, or to manage it effectively.
I didn't know if they emptied the room. Did that mean that you could have more than 3 people?
No, I think that room is about the same size as 230, maybe in 233 anyway, and so only 4 people could be in there. But he has said, the building inspector, it must be smaller, because the building inspector clearly said 3 people was the maximum.
Well, that would give an office, and Amy could meet 2 people.
Right.
Or Ashley could have a meeting with Nicole and Amy.
Right.
which she can't do now.
Right.
So, Mary,
whole proposal to this whole entity is to provide a safe environment for Amy to do her job based on the COVID issue that we have in this country. That's what the town hall is doing, and every other business or corporation in this country is trying to provide a safe environment for all employees to do their job. And for us to consider room 234, to me, is a no-brainer. We have to do this. I mean, it's in our face. And if you think of Ashley and Sue and their Marge, myself, or any other board member couldn't go in there and talk to Ashley because there's not enough space for 3 people in that total area. We'd have to go out in the hallway at a distance, or hopefully nobody's in room 230 or 233, or you couldn't even have a conversation with the director. So it's very unfortunate to consider this, but I don't think we have a choice.
well,
Marge?
I'm thinking of the safety for the employee and the clientele coming into our office.
was that you, Maureen?
Yes, it is. I just got a text from Nancy Levine. She said her hand is up, but no one can see that she's trying to.
Oh, hold on. I'm going to allow her to talk now. I didn't see her hand.
That's okay.
Who did you say that? Who did you say that was?
Nancy Levine
Nancy Levine,
from the Friends.
can you hear me now?
Yes, we
We
can.
can,
hear.
Nancy.
Okay, I'm sorry, my hand has been up for a long time. I do have a suggestion for another room, and I need to get back to the thrift shop. I know they're not going to like me, but Nancy Glencross and her assistants have 2 very big offices. I think that they could easily move to smaller offices because most of their work is computer work and out of the building. But it took Nancy a long time to get that space for her assistant. I don't know if you have any notes, Marge, as to how many people can fit into each room.
No, I don't. It wasn't an EHS space, and I just I know that their space is very limited in the entire building. And we
I
know
know the veterans agent had 2 to 3 people in with him, but the rules have changed. And the Nancy Glencross's room, I see, can at least have 2 people. Now, getting back to the thrift shop, I totally understand you wanting to use that space because it's not being used now. What happens when it can be used? That's the only income the Friends get to support the seniors. If we can't get that room back after you take it over, we're done.
Well, and there's nothing to say. This is just, thrown out for consideration to make a recommendation to the select board. So, and I can't answer that question myself. I would hope that we certainly don't lose, or the Friends does not lose the value of the thrift shop. That is not, the intent.
The other thing is that the thrift shop has stuff in it that's been there since March. There is nothing in there anymore that's contaminated. Nothing in there anymore that contains the virus.
Well, Nancy, that is true. But the minute somebody walks in from the outside, then it changes immediately. You don't know whether that person is a carrier or whatever. And so then all of a sudden you're dealing with a whole different situation. So,
well, that goes into any room that any of the people come into. It's not just the thrift shop. It's someone to come to visit Ashley or Nicole or Amy or you. So, I can see you taking over the thrift shop temporarily. And maybe just using the word temporary for the selectmen, because that is the only outlet we have to make money. I have spoken.
I understand that, Nancy. I think most of us do understand that. So,
But the selectmen they need to take that under consideration.
David?
Yeah, the problem, I'm still having hearing aid troubles, but the problem is building wide. Okay, the library has the same thing. You can't let anybody down in the stacks to browse for books, because if they touch one book, then that book has to be quarantined for 3 days. So if they go down touching all kinds of books, it doesn't work. So people can't use the stacks right now. And like you said a minute ago, Marge, if you let one person into the room, okay, all those clothes now have to be cleaned. So I guess you could say that the thrift shop can't function at all until the COVID problem gets solved. And that's the issue that I have. My feelings of can't let people hide. It's the whole building. It's not just the thrift shop. I'm done.
Thank you. That's a good point, David. Thank you. And I agree with you. It's not just the thrift shop, but it's just the situation there. And it's a very difficult one. Yes, Mark?
I agree with all of that the thrift shop can't function while this is going on. But I think there's other rooms in the building that can't really function either. Like they're not going to be able to hold meetings in the building. So the 302 is going to be available. There's not going to be meetings in there. And the directors, the town administrator's office has a meeting room off of it. I don't know how they're going to use that. There are no plans to use the library meeting rooms for the foreseeable future. So I think you're going to have to, everyone's going to have to spread out in the building. But I think and I'm not saying there's not a space crunch in the building, but there's going to be rooms that are going to be idle because they can't be used for what they were before, right? There's not going to be programming in the library for the foreseeable future. And I would guess the multi-purpose room is going to be fairly empty. And I'm not saying you want to use those for your meeting to meet with clients or whatever, but there's going to be rooms in the building because you can't do things with them, right? Otherwise, in their current purpose. And I think the thrift shop is a perfect example. That room is going to be, as it is now, you're not going to be able to use that room for the rest of the year at least, right? So repurposing it in that period of time is a good thing, but I think the selectmen also need to be encouraged to look at repurposing the other rooms that aren't going to be, there's not going to be meetings in the town hall there's just not. The only room they can use is 103 because the other rooms will be too small to hold a board meeting in. So they need to figure out how to use those too.
Well, yeah, and that's really not our concern. I mean, our concern is I'm just concerned about finding space for Amy. And I
agree with you entirely. Yeah. But I'm saying, if you say that we're going to sacrifice the thrift shop, you can also say we would need more space and potentially take over at least part-time the conference room upstairs, right? Say we would like to be able to use this to hold outreach meetings in because we don't have a big enough room to hold. The conference room would probably hold 5 or 6 people, and you said you don't have any space big enough to hold that. So if you needed something bigger, 302.
Yeah, 302.
Is in, or
307? The
307, sorry. Yeah, the conference room upstairs.
Yeah, I don't think so. If I understand it, the selectmen's room at the ground level can only accommodate 8 people. And that space is much bigger than 307, Mark. So I think that's not quite accurate. And I have concern, I have to say this. When you are dealing with healthcare and professionals, as a licensed social worker, dealing with clients, it's impossible to remove them from their main center of support, because it's so unpredictable what could happen with a client. It's totally different than it is meeting, with 2 or 3 of us meeting. And I am personally very hesitant to remove an outreach worker from the core EHS area. So I have a big problem with that professionally. I don't know how Ashley and Nicole feel about it. But to me, the risks and having somebody with clients in another end of the building where there's no support from their team. I mean, Ashley couldn't just get in the room quickly. And when you're dealing with healthcare, there's a whole different parameter of things that you have to consider. Yes, Mary.
I agree with that. You don't break up a small team like EHF when you only have such a small team. You would never break up one person and send them.
No, not in healthcare
That's
situations.
just stupid. I'm sorry. I would never.
I'm not suggesting you want to do that, but if you have no space that can accommodate more than 4 people and 5 people come in, what are you going to do? Tell them, no, we can't meet with them? I mean, those are your options, right?
Well, we realize that. And I don't know how often that occurs, but, you know, and Nicole, did I see Anita's hand? I'm sorry. Anita.
Having worked with Amy on several cases through St. Vincent de Paul, I have come to the conclusion that one of the biggest things when you're dealing with a client of any kind is confidentiality. So Amy can't be trucking down the hallway with a client to find a room that she can meet in, because then that confidentiality is gone. Even if they haven't started talking yet, the confidentiality of her meeting with a citizen in Littleton who's come in and asked for help, who was having a very hard time asking for help. That person doesn't want to be led through a building to another room to be talked to.
Well,
They need to be in an office, behind closed doors, Amy doing her job.
But
I
I don't
agree.
think you can make Amy's office the thrift shop either, because then you don't have no conference room. So,
well, I mean, I don't know. There might be periods of time when Amy's office, that room, 234, would only accommodate 3 people, which is far better than where Amy has been actually for the past, 2 years, however long she's been with us. I agree with that. And we do have, you know, flexibility with, that's why the 2 rooms that accommodate 4 people offers a little bit of flexibility for smaller meetings. And yes, granted, if you're going to try to have a meeting of 5 people, it would have to be a special event with a lot of planning and organization and examination. For example, you know, do 5 people need to be there? Can one person not be present, type of thing. So, and yes, that's going to be difficult, but it's best to keep the group together as much as possible, in my opinion.
I'm not suggesting it's to spread out any more than you have to,
Right.
but if there are times you need to spread out, I think there needs to be options to do that, right? I'm not suggesting that you take over 307, but I'm suggesting every room in the building needs to be fair game, right? For every department, not just EHS, right?
Right, and I do not know what's gone on before, you know, in as far as other departments go. I only know that I became aware of it myself, and in talking with Nicole, about a week and a half ago. So, it just seems as though it would be almost irresponsible on the part of the town not to, at least during the remainder of these restrictions with COVID, not to free that room up. And if we free that room up and then see where we're going, you know, and what other problems we have, okay. But to me, that just seems like we could almost get it done and be ready for the opening next Monday, you know, possibly. So, and yeah, it's disruptive and it's upsetting, but the town can't just leave a space like that occupied with clothing and not being used, given this whole situation all of us are in. Ian Lee.
I'm a little, I don't know. This is temporary, right? Because once the vaccine comes out, whether it's January or January 2021, 22, things could go back, but we can't use that clothing. So why just can't it be moved out, stored someplace, clean the room up and get it ready to be Amy's office? And then once everybody can go back to wherever, meeting together, it's not going to be a problem anymore, right?
Right. That's right. That's my attitude
So
too.
this is a temporary problem. So
I would say that. I mean, everything has to be revisited whenever.
Right.
So it does. But it would make sense to, and make it as easy as possible for the current staff to be able to function
yeah,
with it together where they can support each other. So,
I'm
yeah.
all for clearing that room out and using it for Amy's office.
other comments? Yeah, Mary, and then I'll get to Mark. Mary.
Go to Maureen. Maureen.
Mark?
Oh, so just to be clear, I wasn't suggesting not clearing that room out. I was suggesting you need to think bigger, because I think there's going to be times when you need spaces that you don't have, right? You need to be able to say that if we clear that room out, we have room to hold, you know, these number of meetings up to this size. But if someone came in with a 5-person or a 6-person group, or 2 things came in, we do not have the space and we would need to look elsewhere in town hall.
Well,
I'm not suggesting not clearing that room out, but you need to lay it out that what you can do with that room and what your limits still are.
right.
Not.
Well, and in all fairness to Ashley, who's just starting today with us, you know, we do
I'm surprised
have,
she doesn't
and
have a plan yet.
I know, but she's good at developing those plans, I tell you. Anyway, we do know, and we have functioned, you know, with limited space for a long time. We also do know that the multipurpose room can accommodate 17 people. That's what I've been told. And we do know that we have often had things, and the staff have run up and down stairs from the multipurpose room to the office. And, you know, it's possible, conceivable, that we may have a volunteer that wants to come back, and when something like a 5-person meeting means the staff are going to be leaving the EHS area and maybe being in the multipurpose room downstairs, it's not beyond my level of comprehension to think we might have a volunteer that would come in and sit in that office as one person, because both of the bodies that are in there are going to be gone, to answer the phones for an hour or whatever. And that, you know, so that could work out for the, you know, in some way, but we have to give Ashley time too, to get her feet on the ground and get a sense of things. But this would be a solution, you're right, immediate solution to help the situation. Yes, Maureen?
Nancy Levine would like to be recognized.
Are you there, Nicole? Nicole?
Sorry, I'm here.
Okay, Nancy wants to be recognized.
Oh, she's in here. She can talk.
Oh, go ahead, Nancy.
All right. Thank you for listening to me again. I happen to agree with most of you, even Marge. If I was in your position, I might even say use the thrift shop. However, once it's taken away, you're never going to get it back. That's my concern. And
Well,
the thrift shop earns money for us a lot. And if you take that away, we can't go fundraising right now. Companies are laying off people. People have lost their jobs. So we were counting on the thrift shop. So right now we're making no money. And
Well, you know what?
If you take this away for 3 months, 6 months, a year, I understand. Use the room. But please try to find a way when we move forward to have another spot for us. That's all I'm asking.
Well, and that's not my, you know, our determination right now. We have to think, we don't know what the future is going to hold anyway. So that's my take on that. And actually, if you can find a place that maybe there's a place out in the community that doesn't have restrictions like the town hall does, that you could even reestablish a thrift shop. I don't know. But just saying, we have to be creative and look at all things, but
Yes,
David,
of course
yes.
you do. That's your job, and it's my
Yeah.
job to protect the friends. So,
Yep.
yes, David.
Yeah, okay, so,
I lost charge of the meeting.
no, it's all right, so, the fire chief has said that the thrift shop can't be used as a thrift shop as it stands now until further notice, because it can't be kept in a condition that would be sterile enough for people to walk through. Is that correct?
Essentially, yes, yes.
Okay, so it can't be used. All right, so what we want to do is just use that room for Nicole or whoever to have meetings and have more space. Right?
Right.
All right, so when the problem gets solved, when the vaccine comes out, okay, and everybody starts to return to normal, there is no reason why, in my mind, there's no reason why the Friends just can't have the room back. As long as we guarantee that they can have the room back, we can just move on to the next subject, because they can't use it now, but I would say as soon as they could use it, they should be able to use it. Fair enough?
No one's taking the room away from COA. They're just repurposing the room within COA.
No. But Nancy is
Yeah.
afraid that it's going to be taken away permanently. And I'm just
No.
saying, let's just say that it won't be.
It's not the Board of Selectmen that's taking it away. It's Elder and Human Services that's deciding they need to use the room for another purpose now. When
No,
they don't need to use it, we can.
no, Mark, it's not an EHS room. It's a Friends room. It has been a Friends room, and it's not considered an EHS room. For years, it has been there. I don't even know how long the thrift shop has been in existence. How long, Nancy?
28 years.
28 years.
It used to be downstairs.
See, and actuality, truth be known, that I know the Mass Council on Ages, MCOA, has made it very clear that Friends groups are not supposed to be using public resources at all. 28 years ago was a totally different story, you know, but nowadays it's changed. But that is not something that is my concern right now. Anyway, it's just the idea that the space is needed critically soon to be able to keep things functioning in EHS. And I agree that with, yes, we still need to, because we know the value of the thrift shop to the Friends, and it would not be kind of us, certainly not to be considerate of that. We don't have the authority. It's not an EHS room to begin with. That's why we need to come to a decision about a recommendation to the select board tonight so they can discuss this. It's their decision, actually. It's not ours. So, yes, Mary.
Okay, it's 2:34, and we have batted this around for 45 minutes. Pros, cons, this, that, and everything else, but it still boils down to the fact we need the space. It's been proposed. We know what has to be done. It needs to be submitted to the board tonight. I move that the COA board recommend to the select board that room 234 be made available immediately for use of office space for DH, for the Department of Elder and Human Services immediately. And I make that as a proposal now to be ready to be submitted to the board tonight.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion on the floor and seconded. And I did not write it down, Mary, but I noticed, is there any further discussion? I noticed Maureen had her hand up. So before we proceed.
I totally agree with Mary's proposal. I just would like to see if she would add the word temporarily.
I didn't hear you, Maureen.
I totally agree with your proposal, but I'd like to see you add the word temporarily.
Yeah, yes, Susan.
How do you determine temporarily? We can't determine that. That's the
No, we can't.
select board's decision.
I can't add that. We need to do it for however long it needs to be done.
Right.
Right, we can't determine what it means temporarily.
But it can be temporarily until the vaccine, until it's safe to go back.
Right.
Just so that the selectmen know that we want that's very important for the COA, for humans, elder and human services. The Friends Thrift Shop is very important to us because they're the ones who are making money for us.
I agree.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Yeah, just me. I'm losing so much audio on this that I didn't hear the motion, the second, or half of the discussion.
Oh,
Is anybody else having that problem?
no.
Just
No,
me.
Okay. Can you make the motion and repeat the motion, Mary?
My motion was that I move that the COA board recommend to the select board that room 234 be made available immediately for use as office space for the Department of Elder and Human Services / COA.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have a motion that has been made and seconded on the floor. I'm going to take a vote by roll call. Anita? I'm sorry.
did we solve the question of temporarily?
No, it was not in the motion.
Not in the motion.
So it's not going to be in the motion.
No,
Not the motion we're voting on.
not
Right.
this motion. Anita,
Yes.
ready to vote, please.
Oh, yes, I'm ready to vote.
And your vote is?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to be clear. Anita is yes. Susan?
Susan, yes.
Mary?
Mary, yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Maureen?
No.
One no. David?
No.
2 no's. Ann Lee?
No.
3 no's. 1, and Marge is voting yes. 5. So there's 5 yes and 3 no's. So the yeses have it, I do believe.
Motion passes.
And the motion is passed. Just doing my job without a secretary. Well, the secretary's doing her job, but I don't have access to her, so. All right, thank you all. Okay, and it is now is 2:39, and I would throw out, did somebody want to say something?
No. I'm afraid to. So.
You're afraid to?
Well, I don't know if you can hear me. I'm having audio problems, but I'm really unhappy with that motion that just went through. It should have had the word temporary in it. That's all I got to say.
Me too.
Well, I don't think,
When
go ahead.
there was no harm in putting the word temporary because it would show our intention that we thought when the room became available again, it should go right back to the Friends. I thought that was pretty simple to put in, but
Right.
apparently not. So therefore, I make a motion that we add temporary to that last motion that was passed. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a new motion on the floor made by David Sill, seconded by, pardon me? A new motion on the floor, Mary, made by David, seconded by Maureen, that the word temporary be added to the previous motion that was approved. Any further discussion on that?
I agree that temporary is a meaningless word in this case because you haven't defined what temporary means. It doesn't buy you anything.
That's
At
right.
some point, we're going to decide that the COA EHS no longer needs the room for offices, at which point you're going to have to go back to the Board of Selectmen anyway and say, would you please give this room back to the Friends? So adding temporary doesn't actually change anything, except potentially giving them control to take the room away from you before you're ready to give it up.
I agree with that. Thank you, David. I think that's what Susan was getting at. I mean, Mark.
I don't know, because I'm only hearing half of this anyway. I'm almost at the point where I'm gonna leave because I can't hear hardly anything.
I'm sorry, David. I don't know what to do to make it better.
Invest in headphones.
I don't think it's on your end. No, it's not a headphone problem. I got it coming right into my ears. It's something in my Wi-Fi that's causing these glitches. I don't know what it is.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Well, I'll stay with it. Let's go on. I withdraw the motion.
Wait a minute. Did I hear you withdrawing the motion?
Well, everybody seems to think that temporary is a stupid word, so I'll just withdraw the motion.
All right, wait a minute. I've lost track of where I'm at now. We have a motion and now we hadn't even voted on that. And it's
All right, all right, let's vote on it. It's been motioned and seconded. Go ahead, bring it to a vote.
okay. So we have a motion to add the word temporarily into the previous motion. Any further discussion on that? Okay, we're ready to do a vote. Anita?
No.
Susan?
No.
Mary?
Abstain.
All right. Mark?
No.
Maureen?
No. Oh, yes.
You don't get a vote twice.
Yes, please.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3 no's. I gotta write this down. David?
Yes.
2 yes. Anley?
Yes.
3 yes. And I am no. Marge is no. So that's it. I think I have it down. 1 abstention, 3 yes and 4 no's. So the motion remains as previously stated without the word temporary. All right.
That doesn't mean that the selectmen can't put that in there.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, we're just taking a motion.
Right. It's totally up to them. So, you know, and I just agree that it is not well defined, and they're going to say, what do you mean temporary? So, I mean, we can't have a motion with a word that's not clearly defined. And be able to answer that when we're asked that question. What do you mean temporarily? How long is temporary? I couldn't answer that for them. So, okay. All right, now it is 2:45 almost. And I think we have completed the space need issue on the agenda. Yes?
Yeah. I think we scared Ashley right out of the meeting.
No, she's there.
Oh, I can't see her.
She's
Okay.
quiet. She's just observing. All right. Now, the next item on the agenda was traditionally at our August meeting, we review our goals for the year. You know, we look at last year's goals and then review them for this year. However, I'm suggesting that it is 2/4 and we can postpone that to our September meeting if the board wishes to do that. But it's entirely up to what you would like to have done. I know that we need to revisit the goals, especially with the COVID issue, because they will have changed. Last year, I can just bring you up to date. The overarching goal last year at the first was to bring to fruition a senior center in Littleton. and we have the steps that we were going to take place. And then to promote and support affordable housing initiatives. And that was basically it. We had many things listed individually, and I can send this out to each board member to look at prior to the next meeting if you wish. But we were going to have to add some goals for, to deal with the COVID issue, I'm sure. So, and maybe it's best if we postpone that so people can think about that too.
Can,
So I'm
can I ask how much influence Ashley has over the goals?
She has
Does
a
she
lot
propose-
too, so it's important that she have some say in them. And
So it might be good to postpone them so that she has time to look over and make her own suggestions.
that's what I'm thinking. I think it would be appropriate to give her a month to, you know, try to get her feet established a little by then.
I mean, if she started on Friday, it would be one thing, but
Yes, Maureen.
No pressure, no pressure.
Right, no pressure.
I move that we postpone doing the goals for 2021 until the September meeting.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, any discussion on that before we take a vote?
do you really need to vote that? Can you, I mean,
Really
I think as a
don't.
chair, you can do that on your own.
I can? Well,
I
I
think
know
so.
you've got a lot more experience than I do, Mark. I'm going to take your word for it, because I'm suggesting it anyway to you that we postpone it. And that was why I was getting to that. It's late.
I think it's agreed upon and you can just make, you can make the dictatorial,
Unless someone is totally in disagreement. I can't imagine anyone is. So quite frankly. And that would allow me, we still need to get the director's interim report in, et cetera. So, and I have one announcement I really wanted to make that I will make at the end after Nicole's done with the interim director's report. If that's okay with everybody, we will postpone the addressing our goals until September. Excuse me, Ashley, Nicole, do you want to speak to your report?
Sure. I kind of combined the outreach and the interim director. So I'll just run through what's going on. Elder Services of the Merrimack Valley is hosting a Zoom program for us in September on Medicare fraud. We'll have all the details in the broadcaster. Harry's Line Dancing is still available on cable and on demand. Loving Sisters continues every Monday. Social Anxiety Group is still meeting every other Tuesday. People can contact me for information. Living Alone and Living Well is actually meeting twice a month now instead of once a month. So people can contact Amy about that. And we did start our Life Ahead group, a group for people in recovery. That's the last Wednesday of every month on Zoom from 6 to 7. If people have questions or want information to log on, they can get in touch with me about that. I'm still working with the towns of Acton and Boxborough on that collaborative grant. Marge was nice enough to join me for our last meeting. I sent out an email to the board. We're kind of looking at options of what we can do and how we can do them, whether it's in person or virtually. Let's see, TREAD applications are online. The due date is September 30th. If people need help filling them out, they can get in touch with me or Amy. Amy and I have started QPR training, which is a training on how to prevent suicide. Once we complete the training, it will give us a certificate so that we're able to give this training to people, to other employees or to residents. Farmers market coupons are available through EHS. We have a limited amount, so you can contact me or Amy. Ed's Weenies offered and officially started collecting their tip money to be donated to us. So thank you, Ed. That was very generous. Springdale Farm donated some senior bags to us. Thank you, Springdale. And I also just wanted to mention quickly, August is National Overdose Awareness Month. I just wanted to take the opportunity to remind people about the Coalition Against Addiction. we're available. We have resources and support to help people who are struggling with addiction and or their loved ones. So I just wanted to mention that. And I think that's it.
Great. Thank you, Nicole. You incorporated the outreach coordinator, or you're kind of doing both, right?
Yeah, I kind of put them both in one.
Yeah, I understand. I didn't want to just ignore that, that's all.
No.
And I actually, I remembered one of the announcements I wanted to make, and it's really important, and I drew a blank, I guess. And I really wanted to alert everyone who might be watching and sees this even on TV after it's, posted and taped on TV, that EHS and the COA has resumed their monthly LCTV show called EHS COA Highlights. And that show, Anita and Susan Melander are the two board members that have taken this and run with it. And I would urge all of you to watch the show that they did in July, the end of July. It is up on LCTV now. And they will be doing another one toward the end of August with Ashley as their guest to, meet people. And they did a wonderful, wonderful job. Just great. They packed all kinds of information into a 15-minute segment. It really is a great job. And the show is called EHS/COA Highlights. So take a look at it, stay on top of it, tell people about it. We're trying to use that as a way of helping to get word out to the community about things that are going on. So, and, for Ashley's benefit, Susan and Anita started this. It took us quite a while back last winter, fall and winter, to get it up and running, and they did their first show in February, and then of course we were shut down. So the fact that they got it up and running again, and we owe a huge thanks to Mark Rory of LCTV, who did a wonderful job getting it taped, and they taped it outside in a backyard, which was a great setting. So thank you, Mark and Susan and Anita. It was great. So I wanted to mention that in the beginning, and I almost messed up. So, all right.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Sure.
With the plans for the building reopening, can you comment on how the department will be opening? Is everything going to be by appointment or walk-in? Is there plans for how you're limiting the number of people and how you're publicizing the reopening of the services? Yeah.
I don't know whether Nicole and Amy have talked about this at all. I know that I have not gotten into that conversation yet. So, and I'm sure Ashley will have thoughts this week as time goes on, as she, starts.
I tell you, she should have started on Friday.
Yeah, she should have started on Friday. You're right. But she works quickly. She puts things together quick. I got to tell you that. So.
I just think, Mark, you had mentioned reopening programs and services. I attended a phone call at the state level, and they talked about how the senior centers, council on agings, they never closed throughout this whole pandemic. It's really a matter of just scaling up the operations in terms of how we can accommodate people right now and over the course of the next several months. So I thought that was a good term to use because we were never really closed, just operating in a different way.
Yeah. You have to figure out though how you're going to, what the new operating mode is and how you're going to publicize that and have people feel comfortable about coming into the building and all of that. I mean, and the library is a little in front of you in that we have been open more to the public than the rest of the town hall. So you might want to reach out to the library director and figure out some of the plans that they've done.
Sure.
So.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That's a great question though, Mark, and thanks for bringing it up and it is true. We actually never closed. The amount of work that Nicole and Amy have done really has been outstanding, I think, in this. And I'm anticipating, I'm sure there will be people who will walk in the door, and that's what happens. They just come unannounced, and it's going to take a while for them to figure out how they're going to best manage that whole piece of things. But Also, Nicole is great at getting things up on Facebook, on the EHS page on Facebook, and getting information out. And I'm sure we'll be getting information out there. Not to mention the show at, in a couple of weeks, Anita and Susan will be taping that next show. So it's like right around the corner. So we'll get there, but yep. All right. Any other business to come before the board? Nope. Well, thank you all. We've had a great discussion. I think it's been great. There's going to be a lot going on, I think, now. And we might be getting busy now that things are starting to even open up just a little for us. Yes, it's going to be a long time before we have those wonderful friends luncheons of 100 people. It's just going to take an awful long time to get back to that. And that's a huge social event. It was a monthly event, and people are missing that, I know. And people are still lonely at home. So, all right. If not any other business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Just one quick thing. When the opening plan is proposed on how you're getting people back in the building, could you please circulate that? I'd be interested in reading it, and if you wanted comments, since we have done that for the library, I'd be willing to help out.
Get that guy's name, Ashley.
We also happen to have on the library board an epidemiologist, so that helps too.
He has a lot of experience, so yes, Ann Lee.
I just wanted to say to the public that if you are food insufficient, please feel free to come to the Baptist Church on Monday evenings between 4:30 and 5:30. We're giving out free meals every Monday evening.
Mary?
Make a proposal that we accept the director's report.
Thank you. Whoa, what a good vice chair you are. Thank you. I almost got in trouble. Thank you very much. Do I have a second to accept the interim director's report?
Second.
Thank you, Maureen. Any discussion on that? All right. We will take a roll call vote. Anita?
Yes.
Thank you. Susan?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Ann Lee?
Yes.
That was unanimous. They made it easy on me. So thank you. All right. And thank you, Patty, very much for bailing me out of this. Susan?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Ann Lee?
Yes.
And Marge is yes. Thank you all very much. It was a difficult discussion to have and to act on, I think. So, but I thank you all.